Good morning and welcome to Compass. Few days ago, President Muhammadu Buhari formally inaugurated the Federal Executive Council with the swearing in of 36 members to give direction to the new policies of the present administration. And one of the new cabinet members is Barrister Abdurrahim Adebayo Shittu, representing Oyo State in the Federal Executive Council. Barrister Shittu is a politician and two-time commissioner in Oyo State, and I tell you, he is now the brand new Minister of Communication, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Barrister Abdurrahim Adebayo Shittu, it's my honor, sir, to welcome you to Compass 98.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's begin this way. I want to quote a statement of yours. I have had an abiding faith in the need for Nigeria to be morally upright. Now you are a minister of the Federal Republic. What are you bringing to the fold, at least to arrest
incorruptibility,
this moral bankrupt?
Passion for service, accessibility to members of the general public, and a commitment to add value to governance generally in Nigeria. Specifically in the area of my mandate, that is communications, I work assiduously to ensure that services are improved throughout the country, that facilities are available for the telecoms companies in such a way that there will be less burden on subscribing public. Lastly, if I may say for now, is to ensure that we double the income to the federal revenue from telecoms services. We know very well that for close to 30 years, our main revenue base in Nigeria has been oil, petroleum. As God will have it, things have started plummeting, particularly prices of oil at the international market. And the alternative to that, people have thought, is agric. But agric will take much more time before investments start yielding. Nigeria cannot afford to wait because there must be, something, to take care of. In the Yoruba language, you have this adage, anyagbe ajadun, kajato nyagbe nko kilamaje. So for me, because agric will take much more time for investments in it to yield, for Nigeria to derive income, we have to look to the telecoms sector. I know the potentials are unimaginable, and I believe with the commitment that I have to make the best of this opportunity to serve Nigeria, we would introduce reforms, far-reaching reforms, to ensure that the federal government gets much more income from it.
Honorable Minister, your appointment is one of the surprises President Muhammadu Buhari gave to Nigerians when he was allotting portfolios. Yet, he said round pegs have been put in the round hole. Yeah, now you are here as a lawyer and in the communication sector. People were asking, what knowledge do you have before you?
Well, what I am supposed to provide in the telecoms or communication industry is leadership. And what does leadership require? Leadership requires sound education. I'm happy I got that from the then University of Ife, where I studied for 4 whole years, and I think I'm sufficiently equipped to occupy a leadership position. Apart from that, consistently I've been in politics for 36 years. I've been in the judiciary because I was a member of the Judicial Service Commission of Oyo State. I've been in the legislature because I have, for 4 years, been a member of the House of Assembly. I've also been in the executive because on 2 occasions, I was a member of the State Executive Council as commissioner. So having served in these 3 sectors, I think I have the right exposure to provide the right leadership. And I want to assure you that as General Buhari surprised Nigerians with my appointment into the communications industry, I will myself surprise Nigerians by providing the best, perhaps the best that no communications minister has ever given to this country.
Nobody is doubting your vast experience and the requisite knowledge to put them to bear, at least when the time arises. But one thing, the sector that you are to serve, the communication sector, is bedridden with a lot of constraints, one of which is infrastructure decay. And this is an era of dwindling resources to the nation. How do you intend to do it?
I'm happy you asked this question. I think that we are still working in Nigeria with obsolete infrastructures in the communications industry. If you ask anybody who's been to Saudi Arabia, for instance, you won't see these long, tall masts all over the place. Their masts are at most 3 feet high. You wouldn't know their masts because you don't see strings and wires and all of that. And they're all over the place. And they provide very effective service across the country. I know that the communications companies, like the communications service providers, may have problems with finance because some of these things require a lot of capital. I, by the grace of God, will facilitate to ensure that government intervenes in providing some of these infrastructures which are modern and which would serve Nigeria, better. I also believe that, I would say straight away that as soon as I was appointed, I started making contacts with professionals in the field from all over the country. Only yesterday I spoke with a Nigerian expert in the field in Sweden, and I have invited him to come over with, ideas. Not only, the Swedish person, several other, individuals and organizations. For instance, I have also spoken with the president of the Nigerian, Computer Society, and so many others who have worked in the communication industry we've been talking. I believe that within the next 1 month, we will have something that we can put before Nigerians, which will certainly gladden the minds of Nigerians. I want to assure you that we will do our best, and the best will be good enough for Nigeria.
Despite the shortcomings and the constraints we've lived there, at least that has hindered efficiency of telecom service providers in the country, Nigerians are not happy because they're not enjoying excellent services from the service providers, even amidst the complaint of being exploited. And I know you know what I'm talking about. How do we move forward?
Well, you see, in the past, everything in Nigeria was wrong. Governance was wrong. Consequently, every other sector was wrong. Because of that, Nigerians decided to vote for change. They voted for change. And since we are the change they are expecting, we will certainly facilitate an improvement in the services, not only of telecommunications, but, across board. So I just want to assure you that we're on board. We would give no excuses for non-performance because there would not be non-performance. We will perform. So we appreciate the problems because we have been part of the Nigerian society. I mean, for instance, I have lines where over some time I will send a text message and I will billed 10 times for 40 naira in 10 places. I mean, it has happened. I've complained, and more often than not, you don't get it. But things will change because a new man is in control now.
When Nigerians are complaining, when they are complaining, at least the service providers are shifting the blame on government. They're complaining of multiple taxation, spurious taxation, and all not. Perhaps from the side of government is supposed to put in up an enabling environment. What form of enabling environment?
You see, we would remain partners in progress, government and the companies. If some of them are complaining, as you have said, about multiple taxation, have they also complained about the fact that there usually are no full disclosures of how much they earn? I mean, these are issues which are in the front burner. We will look at all of this. We will look at their complaints, and we will look at the complaints of Nigerians. We are part of Nigerians. We will look at it. But one thing I can assure them is we will be very fair and very transparent. We don't have any misgivings. We don't have any, mischief. We regard all of them as partners in progress because they are serving Nigeria, but they are also making money for themselves and for their proprietors and the countries they represent. So it's not a one-way traffic thing. It's a two-way thing, as it is often said. It takes two to tango. So they may have complaints, the Nigerian people to have complaints. We will put everything on the table and do the best with a very sincere heart, and we will do it transparently, sincerely, and fairly.
Honorable Minister, it is a known fact that government business is no man business. At least that's the cliche in Nigeria. You agree with me that following the sale of Nitel, Nigeria lost a very vital infrastructural backbone in the telecoms sector. And if Nitel had been what it used to be, at least it will provide what we are talking about, enabling environment, and even sell broadband to investors that want to come into this business. Are you going to revisit this?
Let me tell you, if Nitel was performing, it would not have been sold. If it was performing optimally, there wouldn't have been need. The need for selling arose because all hope was lost on performance. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, over the years, look at what happened to Nigeria Airways. Nigerians will be, engaged in Nigerian companies. Perhaps following what you have said that, of course, I don't believe in it, that government business is no man's business. Because of this, misplaced spirit, people go into the Nigerian agencies and kill it because of greed, because of selfishness, because of corruption.
You just talk about change.
Well, so now, you see, the issue of Nitel, I'm a lawyer and I must reason like a lawyer. If there was a sale with all eyes open by the two parties, and there's an agreement which is binding in law, unless there's evidence that corruption or wrong information was given or fraud was involved, it will be difficult for any government to reverse it. In any case, I don't have all the full information about it, and for now, I want to, assume that everything was done properly. In any case, you also know that there's this argument that privatization is the best way to go for democracies, whether old democracies or emerging democracies, because following what you've said that government business is no man's business. So if government business is no man's business, let us give the no man's business to people who want to manage, who want to buy and manage, and then we can, do something, concrete and expect that the service will be provided. Look, it was a Nigerian company that bought Nitel. So if they have been unable to make progress with what they bought, their property, why should that be my concern unless there's evidence of fraud?
The program is Compass on NTA Ibadan Network Center. We'll be back. Honorable Minister, let's talk about NIPOST. We now have internet, and ICT is the in thing now. Perhaps some of the activities or the functions of NIPOST have been taken over by the evolution of internet. Yet, NIPOST they are thriving. Perhaps we want to look at that agency we call NIPOST. How do you intend to revitalize it so as to make it more relevant?
When I came on board on Wednesday, my Permanent Secretary came on board that same day because he was redeployed from the Ministry of Agriculture. Both he and I have not been briefed about the ministry and the parasitas. NIPOST happened to be one of the parasitas. But even outside government, I'm surprised that NIPOST is still thriving. And my information is to the effect that, in fact, NIPOST is doing much better now than they used to be. And for me as a lawyer also, and as minister, I think one area of NIPOST that we have to look at with a view to, to ensuring that it grows properly and is able to make returns, is in the area of stamp duties. Stamp duties is an aspect of the mandate of NIPOST. And we know that in this country, so many people make agreements in their thousands on a daily basis. And under the law, they are supposed to, do stamp duties on the agreement. So it's one of the areas we have to look at. When I get properly briefed, okay. And I want to assure you that I am told, in fact, I got some information today, that the United States Postal Service has the largest fleet of vehicles, outside the U.S. military. U.S. military, because it has bases all over the world, has the largest pool of, transport vehicles. I am told the post office of the U.S., the postal service, has the largest pool. It means they are making business. And if you are talking of ICT, ICT has developed better in the U.S. than in Nigeria. So if it is true that ICT has taken over the functions of postal services, then the prosperity in the United States Postal Service that is being, exhibited all over the place will not be in place. So I believe that as somebody who is very receptive to new ideas, we will look into what is happening in the US, we will look at what is happening in the developing world generally and in the Eastern world, and, try to benefit Nigerian Postal Service from whatever new ideas that, we can get from all over the world.
Okay, sir. Of course, ICT is flourishing in Nigeria, but you agree with me that most of their functions and efficiency are concentrated in the urban area. The rural areas are still there in their rustic form, and maybe because of the literacy level. Now we should take advantage of this, at least to promote economic well-being, even among the rural populace. Perhaps we want to look at...
Well, there's a program on rural telephony. I don't think it has been worked on sufficiently. As somebody who himself comes from a very rural area, I want to assure you, that on behalf of the federal government, the rural areas would be taken adequate care of. We still have up to 3.5 years, and I believe it's sufficient for us to make a positive, mark or positive impact. So we will look at that very seriously, and with a view to ensuring that the rural populace, who are in the majority anyway, also benefit from telephone services.
Because when we do, at least it's going to aid their business too.
It will aid their business, and it will improve the economy of the country generally.
Okay. Let me digress a little and come back home. In the recent past, we've had nasty experiences between a federal minister and their home governors. Let me ask you point blank, what is your relationship like with the governor?
Fantastic relationship. It's a relationship of brothers. It's a relationship of Egbon and Aburo. It's a relationship of party faithfuls. We all belong to APC, and we all worked very hard, very well for the growth of our party. Yesterday, I was hosted to a reception, very grand reception. And the governor was there throughout the program. We cracked jokes, we, rejoiced together, we dined together. And so I don't have any problem with him, because we necessarily must complement each other. I mean, he's at the state level, he's the governor and the leader of our party. And as the representative of the federal government, of the state in the federal government, must collaborate with the state governor and the state government to ensure that the dividends of democracy are, derived and enjoyed by our people. So I don't have any problem. And I believe in the following weeks and months, you will see a more robust relationship between us.
So what is your own definition of patriotism?
My definition of patriotism is to love one's country, to love thy neighbor as thyself, as the Bible says, and to be incorruptible, not to take chances against others, not to cheat on the other, and be godly, because, love of one's country is the beginning of, patriotism is the beginning of fear of God. We owe our existence to God. God decided in his own wisdom to put us in our respective countries, and he expects us to preserve, protect, and promote the interests of our communities and so on. And for me, I don't have any problem. Like I always say, I don't need a policeman or EFCC before I resolve not to steal, before I resolve not to commit crimes, before I resolve to be, my neighbor's, friend and partner and so on. Because God is the ultimate policeman. He sees you when the policeman is asleep. He sees you when the EFCC is in slumber. And he takes effective account of whatever you do. So for me, Patriotism is godliness.
Honorable Minister, why I asked that question? Following your appointment, your community, your indigenous community, the Okegun people, believe this is our turn. And to some people, when they are in office, it is themselves, their community, and the nation. Whereas some people will say the nation, my community, maybe after all myself.
For me, mankind is first. It begins and ends with mankind. I want to do unto others as I wish they do unto me. Look, I come from Shaki in the Okegun area. But I've lived all my life, at least the last 36 years, I've lived it in Ibadan. I married 3 Ibadan daughters. So, more or less, I'm more of an Ibadan person also. And for me, like the governor said yesterday, he said to those who saw my appointment as an Okegun appointment, he said, look, if you have an Oba, don't reduce that Oba to a Mogaji, because Oba is bigger than Mogaji. I am the only minister representing Oyo State. So if someone wants to acquire me, exclusively for Okegun, it is reducing me. And at my level, I have a global approach to issues, and I want to believe in fairness. I think also that why people think of this is our own thing is, if you recall in the days of Western region, when we had Igbas, Ijebus, and everybody together, the sing song at that time was that the Ijebus were cheating on the rest. They were marginalizing everybody, blah, blah, blah. There were agitations that there must be state creation of state. So, government created Ogun and Ondo out of, the Western state, and out of Western region, and it became Western state. With Western state, we had Oyo and Osun. And the cry then was, Ijeshas were marginalizing us, Ijeshas were cheating us, and so on. And that went, and people started agitation that, the Ijeshas must be, carved out, and we, the proper Oyos, be liberated from them. And when that happened, and Ijesha and the other Osun went, the cry today is Ibadan is cheating on us, and so on. I know that if we have a smaller entity with Ibadan out of it, there will still be cry, baby Oyo is cheating us. But in all of this, what has always been lacking is the right leadership. Leaders come in with very myopic vision. They see public good as something which should be exclusive to them instead of including everybody. I am too global, I am too open, I am too mankind of a kind to now restrict myself and my view and my vision. So I see myself, even though I come from Okegun, but I want to be fair to all sides. If you come from Okegun and I have to, take a decision on the matter, if you are at fault against an Ibadan man, of course I will side those who are right, not minding all these myopic,
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Time is not a friend on this program. On a last note, sir, Nigerians are very much in a hurry because this new government is about 8 months old now. What is your message to Nigerians?
Well, my message to Nigeria is Rome was not built in a day. We had 16 years of rot. We had 16 years of bad leadership. We had 16 years of careless management of our resources. And we had 16 years of wantonness and, doing things the wrong way, doing things with impunity. A new government is in place. If a house is dilapidated and you want to reconstruct it, the first thing you do is to completely demolish, so that you start examining it from the foundation level, so that you start looking at the right materials and the right workmen to put in place. And it takes time.
Thank you very much.
The good thing that Nigerians should be confident of is that we have in President Buhari a president who will be selfless, who will be incorruptible, who has passion to bring about change. That is why I recall that even before APC, when we were in CPC, the cliche was change. It was that change mantra of CPC that was adopted by APC. So consistently, he has been agitating for change, from pervasiveness, from rot, and so on. So once you have somebody you have confidence in, you go to rest, you go to sleep. By the grace of God, things will be better.
Thank you very much. I wish we have more time so that you keep on rolling, because I know you have more to release to the Nigerians. For the past 25 or 26 minutes thereabout, I've been hosting the Honorable Minister of Communication, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Barrister Adebayo Shittu. I want to thank you very much for finding time to be on the program.
Thank you so much.
That is Compass this week. We'll be back next week with another edition. Join us.